What's the greatest obstacle or challenge facing you on your path to becoming financially free? For most of us, it's the time it takes to even focus on it. We're so busy with our lives that we don't even know where to start. Come join Joey and I and the team in Nashville, Tennessee, August 9th through the 11th, as we break down the different ways that you can become financially free and introduce you to different strategies and speakers who can help you on that first step.
You have questions? This event is designed to give you the answers to take action fast, to turn the decades it's taken us to learn this and turn them into days. Don't hesitate. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live. And don't forget to use the promo code podcast to get a deep discount.
All right, gentlemen, let's break this down in 3 areas, just like we did in the episode before. What are my options? What will trip me up? And give me some ways to win. So, Eric, coming to you out of the gate, what are my options?
Yeah, one of my favorite options that I've really only been doing for a short amount of time is private lending. And let me tell you why that works so well for an S. In the DISC personality profile, DISC, the Ds are more dominant. These are your guys that are going to go out there and find deals. They're going to be your business owners, your entrepreneurs. And those guys and S's are actually drawn to each other because they each have characteristics, personality traits that support the other. The D can do things that I can't do as an S, and the S will actually sit and listen to a D talk about his deal and what he's about to do, and will actually listen to him and respond. Two Ds can't do that for each other. It's got to be a D and an S. And so when I started doing private lending just through relationship, I ended up coming across a gentleman that does, many people have seen the show American Pickers. And so that's what this guy does. It's his absolute passion. And if he was on this podcast, we would just have to turn the podcast off because that's all he wants to talk about. It's what he breathes. It's what he lives. It's what he loves. And as an S, when I was able to identify a man that has that as his driving passion, that's all he wants to do. He's not doing it for just the money. He's doing it because he loves it. Now I get to partner with him, and I'm not investing in a project. I'm now investing in a person that I've built a relationship with. And that changes everything. Now I'm supporting somebody in their dream. And oh, by the way, we're both going to win. Amazing for an S.
I know you love the relationship part of that deal. And it's something that you can see a track record in. So the stability part comes into play there. And so you have a lot less uncertainty. And because he's so passionate about it, you know he's going to probably do whatever it takes to make sure the deal works out. And if that deal doesn't work out, he'll find another deal. I love every part of that. Jonathan, give me an option as an S.
Short-term rentals. You knew it was coming from me. Short-term rentals. You're hospitality focused. I get to have interactions with people. I can't tell you the number of times whenever somebody's making a booking through Vrbo and they're telling me what they're coming for. It just fills my heart with joy. Now, for a D, maybe even for an I, it's like, okay, they said some words, let's keep going. But whenever they say, I'm coming in for my 75th birthday and all my family is going to be there, then I know that I'm doing something in the kingdom where I'm providing an experience for people. I think part of the reason this is important to me as well, my father-in-law, passed away from pancreatic cancer. And someone in our church let us use their short-term rental to go have a family experience the year before he passed. And we knew that it was coming. And so that experience, along with this hospitality industry, you get to do that. Now, you know, you don't have to go full on cookie lady. You can still set up your systems. You can still have 30 minutes a week or an hour a week invested in this short-term rental process, but you know what you're a part of. I love it.
That is so good. Joey and I own the short-term rental business, as you know, and we actually had that opportunity where a friend of ours, her mother had passed, and she didn't have a lot of money. And she was getting ready to go out of town and to go actually overseas into the ministry. And we were able to use our short-term rental business to bless their family, to to allow all those people to come together right before the mom had passed, and they would have never been able to do it had it not been an option like this. I love that you have that connection with short-term rental that you don't have with certain investments. How about for you, Joey? What's an option for you?
I think syndications are one of those things that S's really are attracted to for a number of reasons. Number one, S's do not want to get caught up in the minutia. They don't want to be caught up in the details and analysis, all the different things to analyze. They want to be able to know that they're investing with others. I think the team mentality or the group, like having people with specific gifts or talents that they can invest alongside that person, is really attractive. I think the fact that syndications have so many different options that you can invest in. So maybe you really kind of like the idea of mobile home parks, but you would never want to manage one yourself because there are some potential like management issues that kind of tug at your heartstrings, and you don't want to be the guy sitting there losing money in a manufactured home facility because somebody's giving you a sob story, but you love the idea of providing affordable housing because you feel like it's a safe investment. Those sort of things are what allows you to invest in syndications, not to mention the fact that there's tax benefits that everybody loves, not just S's. And beyond that, it's, for the most part, it can be very stable and consistent, and there's collateral that backs up almost every sort of syndication that you could get involved in. And you, of course, you want to do your due diligence just like everybody else. But I think S's really like those components of investing in syndications.
Well, as an S, I think anything that's dealing with your ability to connect relationally with someone. We've had a podcast guest that came on that talked about how he bought long-term rentals, and he did it with owner financing, and he did it all relationally, where he would sit down inside people's living rooms and have conversations about why were they wanting to sell their house, what were they looking for, and he just loved connecting the dots, but ultimately was buying their houses without even getting mortgages from the banks, but doing it 100% through owner financing. He loved that relational point. One of the ones, though, I think that's really cool because we've had so much success personally in the land flipping space is those people who are so good on the phone talking to people and buying land. Land typically is one of those assets that people have acquired, usually from a relative, at least the ones that they're selling. It's something that over time is sort of like, Eric, you were talking about the person who was acquiring all this vintage antiques and things like that. Well, people do the same thing with land. They just acquire it either personally or it's been passed down to them by someone else. And, you know, whenever you're calling to buy somebody's land, they want to know that the person that they're giving it to, they're selling it to, is going to want to care about it as much as they did. And that's just beautiful. If you're a relational person, that you're going to want to hear all of those stories. You're going to be patient as they talk you through all the things that they've done on that land up to this point or why they're wanting to sell it. And then you're going to be able to connect with them as you talk about how you're going to make sure it gets in the hands of someone else who's going to love it just as much as they did. I think land flipping is a great example as an option for you if you're someone looking as an S to build passive income and create note income. And you can see from our podcasts that we've recently done that I think we went over $30,000 a month in note income just from our land flipping business. So definitely a profitable one as well. All right, let's go to number 2. What is something, Eric, that would trip me up?
Yeah, I very, very fortunate. Got to spend a little bit of time last week out of the country, and where I was, and luckily I was being driven around by someone, and I wasn't driving because their steering wheels were on the wrong side of the car, and they were driving on the wrong side of the road. And so I was sitting back there in a panic, thinking, if I had to jump up into that seat and drive this car with the steering wheel on the wrong side of the road, I would create chaos and a disaster because instinctively that's not, I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if I can turn right on red or left on red, you know, because I don't know what I'm doing. And I think what can trip me up is, it almost tripped me up about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, is through Wealth Without Wall Street, I was able to build, 16 streams of passive income. And I got to thinking, gosh, I'm really, really good at this. I must actually be an entrepreneur. I think I need to start a business. And so with all the vim and vigor and pride that I could muster, I decided to do that. And then it got really real for me, Russ, when I'm the guy in charge and I'm having to make every single decision from the beginning of that business, not just big decisions, but hundreds of little decisions. And I realized, and I had to stop and say, whoa, I've gotten outside of who I am. I need to go back and remember who I am and get myself in that vehicle with the steering wheel on the correct side and be on the right side of the road. And so I think for any of us that have any success, sometimes pride or just sometimes scope creep, we can allow ourselves to get outside of who we are. And that can happen with an S as well.
Well, they say that the S profile is a technician, is a great support person, right? Excellent integrator a lot of times at doing the things. But like you said, it's important to know that so that way you can then have the right person. We had a guest on the podcast recently that said that exact same thing. The guy had been very successful within a business structure with other leaders within it, bought out those other leaders, and within 10 days of purchasing that business, his stress level had gone up so much, he called back the guy who had sold him the business and said, hey, I got to figure a way to get out of this. This is just too much, not the right thing for me. So definitely sometimes knowing that in advance is super helpful.
Tribe, listen up. We're entering into the election year. This is the time where people are going to get super fearful. We're going to see businesses start to dry up. We're going to see opportunities, though, pile up for us only if we're prepared.
That's right. You get to choose right now. Will you allow this time frame to negatively affect you in your business and your investments? Or will you be prepared to take advantage of these huge opportunities that come on the backside of this because you're prepared with cash?
Let's get our house in order. If you haven't already maximized the infinite banking concept in your life, here's the chance for you to start learning. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/IBC. Take our free webinar so that you can start getting equipped with the things that you need to know so that you can take action on this looming event.
Jonathan, what's something else that can trip us up?
I think sometimes just the nature of an S, we want to be seen as successful. We want to be approved of. And so sometimes you can get in a deal and the deal goes bad and you know it's bad and probably everybody else knows it's bad, but you're going to keep throwing good money after the bad money. So sometimes you can do that because you don't want to be seen as a failure. Or maybe even you're thinking about all those people like, some of my short-term rentals. I have people who depend on me. If I'm getting bookings, then they get paid. And if I'm in a bad deal, maybe I'm making a little bit of money, but I know that I need to move my money somewhere else. I need to get some debt equity out of a property, for instance. Well, all those people lose their jobs. And so sometimes you can take on what can be a benefit to having a full life, a full business, a team of people and partners, and what invigorates you can now become, from an investing standpoint, it can become a drag on your next decision because you don't want people to be hurt.
I had my father-in-law was an S, and he started making really good money renting houses. But then when one tenant sniffed out that S in him, realized that he was such a good person, a great person, that the rental income from one deal took away all the income from all the other ones because they quit paying. And he couldn't muster up the gumption to get him out of there because he kept buying into the story of that person. That happens. Stallion, what else can trip you up?
Well, I think, the things that I've struggled with the most are really being in an operating position when you realize that that's just not who I am. That's just not how I'm gifted. Anything that has to do with being in details, doing anything that has analysis to it, or operating, anything that creates conflict right? So like the fact that Jonathan loves short-term rentals, I personally don't love the idea of the hospitality aspect, not because I'm not hospitable, but I don't want a bunch of strangers coming in and then talking about the things that didn't go well with, my particular unit or whatever. Like that to me just causes conflict, and I don't want to go towards something like that. I'm happy to have conflict with you as my business partner, but beyond that, I really don't love doing it with total strangers. And then the last thing I'd say is anything that creates uncertainty or doesn't have collateral backing it up, just it puts you in a position where you feel out of control or you feel uncomfortable. And so I think going towards things that do provide collateral and verifying the collateral, those things are going to make an S feel really good about where they park their money.
Yeah. I think one of the things that as an S, we have to be very careful that we are so trusting of others, right? Because we are so trustworthy. We want others and believe others should have that same characteristic. So we have to be careful not to just trust without verifying that what was said was actually done. That's a big one. All right, let's wrap this up going into the last one here. We broke down what are my options, what are things that have tripped me up. Eric, what's a way that I can win?
For me, I think the way to win is making sure you get in the right room. You have the right relationships. It changes everything in your life. It changes your entire trajectory financially, spiritually, relationally, physically, in regards to your health. And I think that with S's, since we are non-confrontational, sometimes we'll stay in the wrong room, Joey, sometimes just because we don't know what else to do and it would be uncomfortable to move. I did that for a long time, with Wall Street, because that was the conventional wisdom. That's the way the herd was moving. And even though I could list, many, many things I didn't like about the people in that room and how that was being managed or accomplished, or how my partner, Uncle Sugar, was telling me how much I could put in it and when I could take it out, I stayed in that room because of the comfort level of the pain of moving. But if you keep searching for your right room, you'll find it, and then it'll feel natural. And that's what I've found in this community here at Wealth Without Wall Street, so much so that, if you can't beat them, join them. Some of you that have heard my story of how I got connected. That's where I feel that I have found my greatest fulfillment. And the safety is not necessarily the safety of how well I measure the investments, vet the investments. That's a big part of it. But have I vetted my relationships? And am I in the right room? That's part number one.
Love that. Jonathan, how about for you? Ways to win.
I think the number one way to win as an S is to either be part of the team that complements you, add people to your team that complements you, be business partners with people who complement you. Getting the right team members is critically important. For my long-term rental business, just like y'all were saying earlier, Russ, you were talking about your father-in-law. I don't like kicking people out when it's time to kick people out. I don't like doing all that stuff. So a key team member for me is a property manager who takes care of all the documents and the details and who takes care of, showing people the door. I've been in situations just like you described where, man, here's a story. Well, another month isn't going to hurt anything. Another month isn't going to hurt anything. Well, it ended up, I was actually hurting this person by not letting them hit rock bottom. There's a great book called When Helping Hurts. I'd encourage anybody to read it about charity and how you can actually do damage through charity at times. And so for long-term rentals, that's important for me for my short-term rental business. I don't like the details. I don't like the cleaning. I have a cleaner and other team members who take care of the details, who manage the property. I get to be the forward-facing nice guy, and then everybody else gets to do the cleanup, literally. And then even in land flipping, I love the Done For You program. I love that somebody else gets to take care of all the details. that I don't have to have any conflict about sales or prices or documents or any of those kinds of things. Mark Podolsky and his amazing team get to take care of that stuff, and I get to look at my bank balance on my phone. It's the most passive thing that I do, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, that's so good. Stallion, how about for you? What's the way to win?
I'd say there's 2 ways to win as an S. Number one, go really deep in the things that you really connect with. And there's been several mentioned here today, but I'll just give you an example. Some of the best S investors that I know are really good at private lending, and they go deep in it. That's all that they do. They focus on that one thing, and they roll it over and over and over again. They set very clear parameters. Like Jonathan says, they may have multiple people that help them stay focused on just the things that they enjoy about that, or they offload some of the paperwork and the management of if payments are missed and such like this. But man, going deep in one category that you really connect with. Or the second way in S wins is also what some people have mentioned today, is partnering with others who have complementary skills or ways that they view the world. And I'll say, so for Russ and I, when we started working together on our investing, before that, I was very focused on private lending and smaller deals that I understood that I did not have to get super involved in. But as he and I started working together on our investing, it expanded what we could invest together on. And I found that I was able to add value in some of those areas, and also that I was willing to step into some spaces that I would never have done on my own. So it expands your reach, that expands your portfolio, if you will, of possibilities. And I just think that that's, if you're an S and you've been sitting on the sideline not knowing which way to do it, sometimes the fastest way is to partner with somebody else and to borrow some of the thing, maybe their experience or their relationships or whatever it may be, in order to have the desired results.
I love that. Well, there's lots of ways that we can have success as an S. You've got to hear about being in the right rooms, adding team members, expanding through partnerships, having mentors, having a board of advisors. I think those are areas that we can add in there. For some of you, you're like, I don't really have that group. I'm seeking where that group lives. Well, you can get that within our community. We've been nurturing this and fostering this opportunity for people to find their own board of advisors, find peers, find mentors. Go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/free call. If you'd like to learn what that process looks like, if you want to be in a room of people, as kind of Eric said earlier, we are going to be live in Nashville, Tennessee in August. We would love for you to come and be a part of that. There's going to be mentors in that room. There's going to be people that can ultimately become your board of advisors. Today's call was from 3 people who were clients at one point. Joey, Eric, and Jonathan all were clients of ours at one point. And after going through this process and starting to learn it, starting to become so successful that they had to teach, that S started coming out of them. They had to go share, because I think the S is for share. You just wanted to share that love, share that knowledge with other people around you, and see other people succeed as an S. Well, we'd love for you to participate in that. And you can also go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/live and put in the promo code podcast to get a discount. We'd love to see you in Nashville. This is such a great topic for us to constantly be knowing more about who we are, but also understanding how we can have success and avoid those failures. Gentlemen, thank you for sharing today. And thank you, as always, for listening. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.